it's hard work. You don't just get picked for Railway, you have to work hard to get picked for Railway. And I think people recognise that quite early when they come to the club. We celebrate people who played their first game in the AIL, we celebrate people who scored their first try in the AIL. Like, that's a huge celebration here. And that's something I think that is part of the culture, that like people have earned their shot at playing an AIL game for Railway.
Nothing here is done individually. You need everyone on the same page. Hi, I am Niamh Byrne. I'm the captain of Railway Union's AIL team. I have been part of Railway for 10 years. This is my 10th season. And so I came in, I remember being a very welcoming social group. And again, I know every club, you kind of find your fit, but I was lucky enough that I came down that lane and I found my team pretty quick.
My name is Lindsay Peat, very proud dub. I'm currently playing rugby for Railway Union, and prior to that I was an inter-county footballer with Dublin. I played in my club Parnells. I was an Irish international basketballer. During that time I co-captained. I captained my club DCU Mercy and played with them for well over 20 years, winning multiple national cups, national leagues. I got Player of the Year one year. I got Irish Player of the Year. I don't know what more you want, but yeah, there we go. I think that's enough. My lifespan. What really drew me was the fact that it was always the sport I looked at that was exciting, that I thought my physicality, I didn't get away with much physically for a lot of my previous sports. So Shirley Corcoran from Railway had been in touch with me via her cousin Graham. I gave it a try. I only wanted to meet some new friends and settle into this side of the city. And then lo and behold, John Cronin saying, "Oh, Ireland are looking for players." And I was like, I've retired. I just lost in All Ireland with Dublin. We'd been 10 points up. I still haven't got over it. And I just needed a fresh start, but it was meant to be fun. And here I am still playing 10 years later.
My name is John Cronin. I'm the senior coach of the women's program here. When I moved to Dublin, I ended up making friends with a lot of female rugby players. We played tag together. And what amazed me at the time is how poorly they were treated. And one of the examples I gave, I had a couple of friends playing in an All-Ireland final. And the All-Ireland final was at 1 o'clock on a Sunday. But some of those athletes, they had to go to Tesco at 9 AM to buy chickens so they could roast chickens at home because they had to feed the opposition. And I was astounded with this, that there's no men's team. You know, if I want my athletes playing in a match, any match, not to mind an All-Ireland final, I want them focused on the game, not on cooking chickens to feed the opposition afterwards. So it was just so wrong. I got involved in Railway because a friend of mine came in as president. He rang me the same time every morning for 2 weeks until I eventually had a coffee with him. So I agreed on the basis that I'd suggested to him that there was an opportunity in women's rugby because no one took it serious and no one did it properly. And if we did it properly, this could be a differentiator. I remember meeting Shirley on it, and she said to me, you know, you want me to set up a women's team? And I said, we've only set up the best women's program there is. You always said we'll do it properly. So we started off, the very first year we had 2 teams immediately, and we tended to attract athletes because we put in place good coaching and because we put in place S&C and because we cared. And those players quickly developed in with the right coaching structures to become Irish internationals on both the 7s and 15s.
My name is Mike South and I'm the head coach of the women's first 15 team. It's challenging. Don't get me wrong, this is a high performing environment. You need to come down here on Tuesday and Thursday and you need to know more than the players. If you can't be caught on the hop, you need to come down here with energy, you need to come down having your homework done. We need to make sure every minute we have with them on the pitch counts, and we need to add value to their day. And we also need to continuously be conscious of developing players. So it's been exciting from that point of view. The role is always a bit easier when you get to work with the group of girls or the group of athletes that we get to work with. It makes everything a lot easier. 1, 2, 3. Railway!
It was really weird when I started rugby here because we were basically removed from club to play internationally. And the really brightest part of my career so far was for the club now to be able to see me. I'm eternally grateful for this amazing club, for what they stand for, what they've done for me, the standards we drive, both for equality, for women's rugby. You know, our senior status was a huge milestone in recognition of women's elite teams here in this country. They action what they believe in. That's very important to me.
Women's rugby in Ireland is probably 30 or 40 years old. So a lot of the regulations and a lot of the governance structures of the RFU is something that was in place 150 years ago, where it was all about men's rugby. And it wasn't set up to cater for women's rugby, and that's why a lot of the struggles of the RFU, it's not badness, it's just that their organisation structure doesn't allow it to consider anything outside men's 15s. With the regulations of Leinster say that a senior club is a club that plays in the All Ireland League, and we were very much of the view that Railway play in the All Ireland League and Women's All Ireland League is the All Ireland League. I think Shirley sent the first letter in 2015, and I think we exchanged 22 different letters back and forth, where Leinster resisted this interpretation. But senior status is important because, one, theoretically it gives you representation on the committees, because you get more representation if you're a senior club, and it gives you more access to resources, which is international tickets for the men's internationals. And Irish Rugby is financed by men's international tickets. All clubs run that, and having more access to those tickets gives you more access to get sponsors, and those sponsors allow you to put effort into the programme. And women's rugby had always been denied those. After those 22 letters, Leinster had said that we could take it to an AGM. And in order to get to the AGM, we could write to all the clubs and all the schools. So we wrote to all the clubs and schools in Leinster and asked them for their support. And when we wrote that, it became public knowledge, and it ended up in all the papers. It was very important to our athletes, it was very important to our club, it was very important for us to be seen to support them as being equal. And we kept our athletes up to speed on it as we went through, and they were very much adamant that this was something that they wanted us to stand up for.
You celebrated because it had been a long time coming. You probably shouldn't have had to maybe fight as much. To get that and kind of be recognised was great.
Do you think women's sport in Ireland is finally getting the respect and investment it deserves?
Absolutely. Energia have been absolutely huge, sponsoring the AIL. One of the biggest things for me, my dream, was to play in the Aviva, and we got to do that last year as a double header with the men.
Energia recognised that we should be there, and that kind of constant drive to bring us up to where we want to be and keep improving and driving the standards of the league is great.
What's next for the club?
Well, hopefully, the short-term goal will obviously be we're in a pretty good spot in the Women's AIL this year, so you'd like to see a successful end to the season. And then from there, I think we kind of continue to drive forward that seconds league, that make the AIL and that league very competitive, and kind of keep driving women's rugby forward would be the goal.
Women's rugby is a really good product to watch, and as the skill level gets better, it becomes a lot more entertaining to watch, and as we invest in the development of skills and development of those athletes, it becomes a really interesting game. It's very, very different from men's rugby, and there's numerous reasons for this, not least the size of the athletes. And women's rugby is going to evolve, and it's going to end up in a space where it's going to be like men's tennis and women's tennis. Both games are good, but women's rugby, I think people will be pleasantly surprised if they go and see it, particularly as things get better.
If you had one piece of advice for young girls who want to follow in your footsteps, what would it be?
Be brave, try everything, make friends. Sport is a really good place. I was very lucky in the opportunities I've been given. I'd say if any of my coaches in the very early days would have envisaged where I am now, they probably would have said, nah, not a chance, because I was crazy. But I found my happy place, and sport just brings you so much joy with the people around you, with the values instilled in you. It brings communication, leadership, conflict, like all the life values that we kind of brandish around and take for granted. For me, sport is the biggest conduit of that. So it brings an awful lot of just happy, brilliant memories with great people. And if you're going to get through what can be a really tough life at times, surround yourself, like I am here at this club, with some just really fabulous, amazing humans.
3, 2, 1!